The Texas General Land Office is administering roughly $4.3 billion in community development block grant funding for mitigation from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. These CDBG mitigation funds will be used to build and implement structural and non-structural projects, programs, and partnerships throughout the state of Texas that will reduce the risks and impact of future natural disasters related to hurricanes, tropical storms, and flooding. HUD allocated this mitigation funding due to the disasters in 2015, 2016, and 2017. HUD defines mitigation as activities that increase resilience to disasters and reduce or eliminate the long-term risk of loss of life, injury, damage to and loss of property, and suffering and hardship by lessening the impact of future disasters. HUD's Federal Register notice for this funding requires that at least 50% of the funds must be spent in HUD-designated most impact and distressed areas or HUD mid areas. All other eligible counties that received 2015, 2016, and Hurricane Harvey disaster declarations that did not receive HUD mid designation have been designated as state mid by the GLO. The notice also requires that at least 50% of all funds must be used to benefit low to moderate income families and individuals. Projects should promote local and regional long-term planning and implementation, natural infrastructure, resilient construction standards, plan for long-term operation and maintenance, and assure construction costs are reasonable. Eligible mitigation activities may include developing disaster-resistant infrastructure such as water and sewer system improvements, flood and drainage system improvements, communication infrastructure, buyouts, hardening and elevation of homes, hardening of commercial areas and facilities, and other public infrastructure to address specific identified risks. The GLO allocated $3.1 billion for infrastructure programs. The 2015 and 2016 floods state mitigation competitions are two separate competitions that will provide funds to address risks in the 2015 and 2016 floods HUD mid and state mid areas. Eligible applicants are cities, counties, Indian tribes, and councils of governments. Each eligible applicant may submit up to 2 applications for each competition they qualify for, 1 project per application. The minimum application amount is $3 million, and the maximum application amount is $10 million. Examples of projects may include flood control and drainage improvements, infrastructure improvements such as water and sewer, green infrastructure, public facility improvements, and buyouts. The amount for 2015 flood state mitigation competition is roughly $46 million, and the amount for 2016 flood state mitigation competition is nearly $147.7 million. The Hurricane Harvey State Mitigation Competition will fund mitigation projects for Hurricane Harvey HUD mid and state mid areas. The competition is open to cities, counties, COGs, state agencies, and special purpose districts. Each applicant may submit a total of 3 individual applications and 3 joint applications, 1 project per application. The minimum application amount is $3 million, and the maximum application amount is $100 million. Examples of eligible projects include flood control and drainage improvements, infrastructure improvements, green infrastructure, public facilities, and buyouts. The allocation for the Hurricane Harvey State Mitigation Competition is just over $2.1 billion. The Regional Mitigation Program allocated funds to each council of governments impacted by Hurricane Harvey to develop a method of distribution. The COGs will allocate funds to local units of governments and Indian tribes for mitigation projects. The GLO encourages the prioritization of regional investments with regional impacts and risk reduction to develop disaster-resistant infrastructure, including upgrading of water, sewer, solid waste, communications, energy, transportation, health and medical infrastructure, and natural mitigation infrastructure. The GLO allocated $500 million for the Regional Mitigation Program. The Hazard Mitigation Grant Program is a supplemental program that will fund HMGP CDBG MIT eligible projects that were unable to receive funding from the Texas Division of Emergency Management HMGP program. Projects will be selected from the Hurricane Harvey impacted areas, and the GLO will prioritize projects that meet the low and moderate income benefit HUD national objective. The allocation for the HMGP supplemental is $170 million. The Coastal Resiliency Program provides funds for a combination of green and gray infrastructure or non-structural CDBG MIT eligible projects identified in the Texas Coastal Master Plan in Hurricane Harvey HUD mid and state mid areas that increase long-term coastal resiliency. Examples of projects include wetland protection, beach nourishment, and dune restoration, and regional infrastructure improvements. The Coastal Resiliency Program was allocated $100 million. The GLO allocated $500 million to housing programs that improve resiliency and meet the oversubscription needs from our Hurricane Harvey Homeowner Assistance Program. The Housing Oversubscription Supplemental Program provides funds to reconstruct owner-occupied single-family homes damaged by Hurricane Harvey with elevation or storm hardening. Eligible participants are from the GLO's existing wait-listed eligible Homeowner Assistance Program applicants. The allocation for the Housing Oversubscription Supplemental Program is $400 million. The Resilient Home Program provides funds to reconstruct owner-occupied single-family homes damaged by Hurricane Harvey with additional resiliency standards. Eligible participants are from the GLO's existing wait-listed eligible Homeowner Assistance Program applicants. This program will serve as a showcase for more resilient residential construction. The GLO allocated $100 million for the Resilient Home Program. The GLO allocated $344 million for planning activities for the purpose of updating local plans, upgrading mapping and data collection, and adopting stronger building codes. The Hazard Mitigation Plans Program will provide funds for the development of FEMA-approved local hazard mitigation action plans and for an enhanced state hazard mitigation plan. TDM and FEMA HMGP eligible entities located within any CDBG MIT county are eligible. The allocation for hazard mitigation plans is $30 million. The Resilient Communities Program will provide funds for the development, adoption, and implementation of modern and resilient building codes, flood damage prevention ordinances, and local plans. Cities, counties, COGs, and Indian tribes located in any CDBG MIT eligible area are eligible to apply. The Resilient Communities Program was allocated $100 million. Regional and state planning provides funding for regional and statewide planning studies and tools that work to reduce risks and impacts of future disasters. The GLO will oversee these funds in partnership with local, state, and federal entities. The GLO allocated nearly $215 million for regional and state planning.